Let's move on to the next topic, and we're going to talk about our centre-back, Cuti Romero. Obviously, he's in everyone's bad books after what he stupidly did against Chelsea. You're looking at it, though. His season has been absolutely brilliant so far. He's definitely matured as a player, or what we thought has matured as a player over the course of the season so far. He's been given the vice captaincy. He's taken on that responsibility. But when you actually look at it, the two games where he's kind of come under criticism was the Arsenal game, giving away a penalty and an own goal. And now the Chelsea game could have got sent off twice over in that game in the first half an hour. Brian, do you feel like, is Romero a liability?
Joe, I don't think he is. I can see where this is coming from. Don't get me wrong. The way I've been looking at it, when I first saw that Liverpool red card, the second one, I completely agree. He could have been very easily sent off for the first, and maybe should have. The second goal, the red card he got. The way I looked at it when I very first saw it, I was like, listen, I'm going to be fair, because that's the best about football, trying to be fair. If Curtis Jones got sent off for Liverpool for making that kind of tackle, then you're going to get, you got to play and say, if that's one red card, that's for consistency. And I still kind of stand by that. But I got talking to someone next to me at the Scotland Yard, and I've watched it over 100. There is a slight difference with the Liverpool one. And the only reason I say a slight difference is Cuti Romero plays the ball, and it's his follow through that gets the guy up high. So he can't, once he's kicked the ball through, he's going to make contact with the player. He's made contact badly, it is a red card. Whereas Curtis Jones kind of went over the ball and over on above the ankle, he's following his foot through, and so it's two. The yellow card and the bad performance. Well, not bad. He was unfortunate with an own goal penalty. Yeah, and then he looked a bit rash, didn't he? I think we all went rash after a doggy's first yellow card, which should have been a red as well. We lost our heads for 15-20 minutes. We could not kick the ball straight. We were kicking stuff. We just were so unsettled. I don't want to call him a liability. We all say that anger and that frustration and that is part of his game, and he has lost his cool. He has lost his cool in this game, which is gonna. I can't say liability. His performances this season. You're talking about 2 games out of what, 11 now? 9 he's been stellar in. The own goal he couldn't really do anything about, could he? The penalty was debatable, and he's played some of his best football he has at the club with Van der Ven. So I can see where it's coming from. I really can. It's something that's got to be worked on, but I can't call him a liability.
Because I think there were definitely times last season where, he could be considered a liability, but without Van der Ven here now, Sim, are you worried that he could turn into more of a liability and go back to maybe his old self?
I'd like to think that the way we set up our back line now is obviously completely different to last season. So hopefully...
But that dynamic completely changes without Van der Ven.
It does change, but hopefully he doesn't act like... Last season we were in a low block, so he had to do a lot of defending. So this season, I'm hoping the fact that we more possession-based, we like to keep the ball a lot more. Hopefully that means that he's not going to be forced into making too many mistakes like he did last season. I'm sure maybe he might have to do a bit of what he did last season in terms of covering for other defenders, because this season he's had Van der Ven covering for him, right, a lot of the season. But now, without Van der Ven there, he's going to have to be covering for whoever's next to him, kind of, because whoever's next to him isn't going to be as strong. So there is a worry there. But would I say Romero is a liability now? I don't think he's a liability, but I think...
He definitely was on Monday night.
Yeah, I think he was on Monday night, but I don't think in general I would label him that, because I think he's that good when he's playing well that I can forgive a bad game, one bad game in 10. But what I would say is, well, now he's part of the leadership group. It's so important that he's on the pitch for the team, and how he's basically taken that role with it. How the other defenders have mentioned about how crucial Romero's been to helping them settle in the back line, and and him instructing everyone where to be, and how much of a help he's been. So it's so important he's on the pitch, and so him missing games is going to be massively impactful for that back line. I would say maybe his ability to get the odd red card or put in a stupid challenge or get a rush of blood to the head is probably what separates him potentially from being on the level of a Van Dijk in his peak, or a Saliba, or maybe a Ruben Diaz, who maybe don't have those elements in their game as much as someone like Romero. But I put that question to you in the previous video. Like, if you ask me, if Romero plays like he has played in the first 10 games, if he can play like that for 30 games a season and he misses 8 through suspension, is that an acceptable return, or is that not good enough? And I've been thinking about it, and it obviously depends on the cover, but let's say if we had adequate cover, I would say that would be an acceptable return, just because he's been that good in the 10 games this season, and it gives you such an amazing chance of winning those games when he's on that form, that you could probably afford for him to miss those 8 games if he's going to be at that level for 30 games a season. But at the moment, the cover that we have, we can't afford to have him miss 8 games a season, because we're struggling for replacement. So that's obviously the biggest worry. But I wouldn't call him a liability, though. I wouldn't go as far as to say he's a liability, but I would say clearly he's prone to a rush of blood to the head like he was on Monday night.
I don't think consistently he's a liability, but I think he can be a liability at times, and I think he's shown that time and time again. And it's the big games this season where he has been, which is very unfortunate and a bit worrying. But Alex, what's your opinion on the matter? Do you think he's a liability?
I think he's a liability in the fact that, you know, in crucial moments he's making mistakes. I do think Tottenham fans have been going really over the top about him. I've got to be honest. Yes, he's had some good 10 games, but then saying that he's better than Saliba, better than some of the defenders that have done it consistently, I think that's the problem at the moment with fans at the moment. Because I mean, I'm doing stuff on my channel about things about the 90s and stuff, about defenders like Nesta, Sol Campbell. Those are
don't be mentioning that name as a top. Don't be mentioning that name as a top defender, and get out of here with that.
Tony Adams, Ledley King. You know
that's what I'm talking about. Ledley
King. You know, those sort of defenders, and they were consistent. The only thing is, though, I don't like this whole thing about him having to have Van der Ven next to him to make him look good. You know what I mean? I don't like it. Even though I've just mentioned somebody like Ledley King who looked good with Michael Dawson. So maybe I'm kind of being a bit of a...
I think it was the other way around, Alec. Ledley King would look good when he had anyone next to him. It was Michael Dawson. Yeah. Michael Dawson massively improved when we had Ledley King next to him.
But my point is, for me, I think you are a liability if you're not consistent. You know what I mean? If you want to be a top team, you've got to be consistent. And you know, 10 games is like a short holiday a short holiday trip. You know what I mean? It means nothing. You know what I mean? If you're not good the next 10 games, or just the one game that is crucial to winning a trophy. You see what I'm saying? So, you know, to answer your question, I would say harshly. Because I'm trying to answer the question, he's a liability, because, you know, you can't be, you know, if you are your main defender, you can't be a liability. You know what I mean? Because that could be crucial in winning a trophy, or winning a championship, or, you know, whatever. You know what I mean? Or winning a crucial game. You know what I mean? So I think, yeah, he is a liability.
Yeah, but Alex, Ramos got 30 red cards in his career. Look how many trophies he won.
Good point. I did say I'm being a bit harsh with him, but I think it has to be consistent. He has to be consistent. As a top defender, you've got to be consistent every single season. And I'm saying this for every single defender. I'm not just being harsh with Romero. You know what I mean? Because if we're judging it on top players that were in the past, you know, Rio Ferdinand, Tony Adams, they wouldn't afford that. You wouldn't be allowed to do that. You see what I'm saying?
Vidic had games where I remember against Liverpool a few times, Vidic had games where he just Torres tore him to shreds and he got sent off a few times. Like, players have these moments. Even the best ones have these moments.
That's a good point.
You're spot on. It's just like you said. That question, which was a great question that you said about Romero, I'd be exactly the same as you. If you told me we got 30 games like the first 9 he's had or whatever, but he missed 8 games of the season, I'd take that all day long. All day long.
But you need to have
listen,
adequate cover. You need to have adequate cover if that's going to be the case. That's the thing.
That's the thing. You look at Eric Cantona was prone to doing stuff. Alan Shearer, Ian Wright. I know we're talking strikers here, but there's certain players that have this in their. It's part of their skill set, and they do this.
How many red cards did John Terry get in his career? Didn't he pick up a few? I can't remember.
Yeah,
off the top of my head.
John Terry, Roy Keane, all these kind of players.
Yeah, you have those, and then you partnered Terry with like a Carvalho, who's like a calmer head, who would always like sweep up for him, and like same Vidic was partnered with like a Ferdinand, who was a calmer head, who'd a lot less likely, and that's what we got here. You got a Romero, who's a bit of a bulldog, and then partnered with a calmer head like Van der Ven.
Yep, you look at it as Russell, like I like to sometimes call him. If anyone's seen that Vinnie Jones movie, The Mean Machine, and no Jason Statham's character, the monk, well, that's basically Romero. He has
John
Russian
Terry
blood
had
to the head.
6 red
He has
cards.
Russian blood to the head.
So
And
how many's Romero had already?
he's had in the Premier League. He's had 2.
2. Sorry, Brian.
And 2 in Europe, I think, as well, didn't he? Was it him
2
that got
in
sent off
Europe.
in the?
He got sent off against Vitesse and Milan.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking. Yeah.
I mean, the only reason why I said liabilities is consistency. You see what I'm saying? Because I base my I know that things have changed in the Premier League now, and it's in you've got to be playing on the floor now, be a ball playing defender now, rather than also defending as well. But I just think for me, a world class player for me. A class player needs to do it consistency, and for me, he hasn't done it consistently. You know what I mean? I think Saliba's got him all day long, every single day. But was it Van Dijk as well? You see what I'm saying? And I just think we just have to. I just think it's just thrown around too easily. And I think Tottenham fans have been going over the top about him. Honestly,
But when he's good, he's that good, isn't he?
Yeah, he's good. Yeah, but the thing is, though, Simi, he's got to do it consistently.
Is
And I
10
think
games not consistently?
No, he's got to do it for the season, do it another season as well, and get better.
You can't. No one plays well for 38 games. No one does.
But the thing is, though, Sim, for me, is that a player needs to do well first season and then get better the following season, or consistency. You see what I'm saying? And for me, he hasn't done it the whole season. He hasn't done it. You see what I'm saying?
We're only 11 games in.
Well, that's why I still need to judge him. You see?
Can I just add one thing? Can I just quickly add one thing to this? What we got to remember as well, the first season with Conte, when we're trying to get Champions League, for ages he was one booking away from missing the North London derby. And we're like, he's got to keep calm. He cannot risk getting a booking. And I think it was 8 or 9 games where he went, or maybe a few, 3 or 4, 5, whatever it was.
Is that the back end of the season? Was that the back end?
Obviously, he picked up the injury when Sanchez came in for the actual Arsenal game, as it was.
Yeah.
But he had to stay yellow card and lash out free for a period of time, and he did it. You look, some people, I've been looking at the comments, some people mentioned that he plays for Argentina. You look at him at the World Cup or the South American Football Championships, he doesn't get these red cards. He can do it. He could do it at the highest highs for club and country. It's just when he has these moments, he has them, and they're just very, very unpredictable, aren't they? You just don't know when that moment's coming. Yeah.
This season, it seems like we do know, and it's going to be in the big games against our biggest rivals, which is very annoying. But I don't think he's a liability. I really don't. I think for the most part, you see, especially this season, you've seen top defending, you've seen a calm head, you've seen someone that's measured the line really well. Yes, he got a rush of blood to the head against Chelsea, but I think that's maybe been more the exception than what we've seen from him this season. And I think Alex is right in terms of what he says, that we need to see it over a course of a season, not just a small sample size of 10 games, because last season's not really a fair judge. The whole team were crap. We were playing a completely different way of football, and Romero himself didn't have a good season, as of the most of the Spurs team apart from Harry Kane. So I need to see him do it over the whole course of this season to put him up there with the proper top defenders of this Premier League. But look, I don't think he's a liability. I really don't. So
I'm only answering the question. You asked me a question. I just asked it, answered it outright. That's it. I have to say that. You know what I mean? Because to be honest, I did say when I said a liability, right? I said it's harsh, yeah, because I'm answering your question. But those are the reasons why I said it, and I'm saying this for every player because there's a lot of players out there that I think people go over the top about. Again, not just Tottenham players, but I think Tottenham fans may go over the top about certain players. One player, absolutely, have to say Kulu, but we're not going to go there. But the point that's my reasoning. That's
Well,
my
but
reasoning.
Alex, it's fair. You can say people overrate him, but how high? Well, where do you rate him? How good do you think he is?
He's good.
He's good. Where, like,
He's
in
good.
terms of Premier League, where would you rank him? Top 10, top 20, top 5?
I wouldn't even put. Maybe in the top 10, but I need to look at the. I need to look at the.
I think for sure he's in the top 10. For sure.
I mean, I've not really scoured the whole thing with the Premier League at the moment, but yeah, maybe you would say in the top 10. Yeah, maybe.
If off the top of your head, can you name 5 centre backs better than him? Off the top of your head,
Van Dijk. Oh gosh, Van Dijk, Saliba definitely. Who's that player for Brighton? Who's that playing for Brighton? Dunk, yeah.
Dunk ain't better than Romero, mate.
Dunk's better than Romero.
He's been consistent, hasn't he? He's been
Consistently not as good as Romero.
No, I think he's been consistent. Roughly, I think he's been consistent. Who else is there?
Man City got a few defenders.
Diaz,
Stones.
Yeah, Stones, yep, Stones. Oh gosh.
Who else we got? Gvardiol, maybe.
Gvardiol.
Gvardiol.
Akanji, Ake.
Yeah,
but those ones I would say that's not definite.
Laporte.
He's not in the Premier League.
Laporte plays in Saudi, mate.
Yeah, but he used to play in the Premier League, didn't he?
Yeah, he did.
This season, isn't it?
I'm saying in the Premier League now. So it's not easy to name 5, is it?
It's not easy, no. I mean, if I watched, and also there's Crystal Palace, Anderson and his partner.
I don't think either of them are better than Romero. But you got to look at maybe what about Varane? Is he better than Romero?
In his career, he is, but recently
in his career. But I think Martinez has got something on him.
I don't think either.
Romero starts ahead of him for Argentina.
Really? Well, he does make Manchester United tick, doesn't he? But I don't know. I'm
saying we've got a borderline top 5 Premier League defender we're talking about, and you're saying people are going overboard about him. That's what I'm saying.
Listen, it takes a lot for me to be impressed. You know what I mean? Like I said, I'm not.
Clearly.
Like I said, I'm an old school sort of fan, like Mr. Box Office, that likes old school music. You know what I mean? Like I said, I just don't think he's. I think everyone needs to go over the top about him. He needs to do more. I think he needs to be more consistent. I'm sorry, he needs to be top 3. Huh? Well, yeah, he needs to be consistent. No, he needs to be consistent. He needs to do consistent performances, and he needs to be more calmer. And that's it for me. You know, I think that for me makes a top defender. You know, and the same with Van der Ven. I think that injury is going to be very concerning. Hamstring injury. When you're pacey. And look at Sessegnon with his injury, with his hamstrings. That's a bad injury for a speedy defender. A bad injury.
Yeah, 100%.